we're going to turn now to America at the crossroads on Afghanistan. We're learning new details this morning about the drama and the valor of American soldiers as the Taliban stormed their remote outpost in the mountains there. 8 U.S. soldiers were killed. And all of this as the president gathers 30 members of Congress to the White House today, joining and intensifying the debate about war strategy. This morning, Chris Cuomo is at Bagram Air Force Base, north of Kabul in Afghanistan. Chris.
Good morning, Diane. We're learning more about the troops who fought and who lost their lives. And the more we see about what the enemy and this situation brought to bear against the troops, as difficult as it is to hear that 8 Americans lost their lives and 24 more were injured, this could have been much worse.
The young faces of the fallen. Private First Class Kevin Thompson from Reno, just 22 years old. He'd been in the Army 18 months. Specialist Christopher Griffin of Michigan, 24. He'd already served in Korea and 15 months in Iraq. Just 2 weeks ago, Specialist Michael Scusa from New Jersey celebrated the birthday of his 1-year-old Connor Allen. Scusa had named his son for another fallen soldier. Sergeant Joshua Kirk was from South Portland, Maine. As their families mourn, ABC News is learning harrowing details about how valiantly these soldiers fought. Military sources now believe only about 50 insurgents attacked, but were able to plan a complex and coordinated assault. It began before dawn. A massive machine gun that can blast through concrete walls was positioned on a mountainside, firing directly onto the small army camp in the valley. Other insurgents advanced from low-lying areas. At one point, a fire fanned by high winds began to consume the camp, forcing troops into a corner. ABC's Karen Russo was the only journalist at the scene.
Several wounded and injured soldiers who stayed and fought while wounded because they didn't want to leave their base. They didn't actually have blood on the bases, so soldiers were actually giving blood, and then they were quickly transfusing it into the soldiers who were wounded.
The terrain is rocky and steep in Nuristan. However, the outposts are situated in the deep valley to be close to the local population. Insurgents watching from cliffs above fire at troops constantly, making daily routines nearly impossible during daylight. Even going to the bathroom requires planning. At night, no lights. They use night vision goggles or less detectable small red lights. And as the winter comes, temperatures can drop below freezing at night, with snows and wind making it nearly impossible to do much more than wait.
We've also learned that the Americans who died are coming home. Later today, they will arrive at Dover Air Force Base, and there's no question that there's a lot of hurt and frustration about these attacks. A member of the chain of command told me an old expression, that war is about old men talking and young men dying. And the concern is that until they get straight what this mission is, they could be more vulnerable to attack, Diane.
Well, I was going to ask you that, Chris. How closely are they following it? Can you tell? Everybody gathered around TVs, reading online the details of this debate, or does it seem a million miles away?
Word of the attack spread quickly. There's a lot of interest. First of all, as we all know, the U.S. troops fight bravely for one another. And also, the politics of this situation are playing to a sensitivity a little bit more than usual, because what this mission is, whether they are here to go find the enemy and kill them, what soldiers do best, or if they are here to build the will of the Afghan people, are two very different things that expose the troops to very different risks. And they want a clear sense of why they're here.
And those are exactly the two sides, Chris, and our thanks to you.